answered some of this in the previous question, but how can we begin to decolonize society and decrease Indigenous homelessness?
That's an excellent question. It starts with representation. It's typical for nonprofit housing providers and for homelessness organizations to have boards of directors that don't necessarily reflect the people they're trying to help. So it depends on the organization, of course. But if you look at a photo of the board of directors of a typical nonprofit housing provider or homelessness organization, you might see more white faces than you should. And so nonprofits need to work hard to beef up or to enhance the presence of Indigenous people at their leadership level. So this is at the board level, at the management level too, like if there's a leadership group at the management level of an organization, and at the front line. And organizations struggle with that across Canada. Some do it fairly well, but most don't. And so it starts with representation. It starts with who's at the table. And once you make that a priority and you change the makeup of the people who are at the table, you'll find that things just start to change. Who's at the table really matters. And I think looking to Indigenous people for guidance is hugely helpful as well. So on this recent research project I was involved with Horizon Housing, we set up this advisory committee that met monthly. Every major decision went through this group, and most of the people on the group or on the advisory committee were Indigenous. I learned so much from this group, from the need to offer tobacco when you're about to interview somebody, for example. That was very important. We arranged to give tobacco to people we were about to interview, residents, and very frequently those residents, when I interviewed them, brought up the fact that tobacco had been delivered to them and how much this meant to them, and that this really did make a difference. This was not a token gesture. They took that very seriously. I wouldn't have thought that a tobacco offering would have had that big an impact on somebody, but it does. And then I learned other things, like apparently when you do a tobacco offering, it's not to smoke, it's for smudge. I didn't know that. At one point I said to somebody, hey, does it matter what tobacco I get? And they said, well, it doesn't really matter because they're burning it as smudge, they're not smoking it. Like, I didn't know that. And those small things may seem small to some of us. They're not small to an oppressed people. And so putting Indigenous people in key positions of authority and listening to them, I think is a great start.